The Hundred Dynasty War had now reached its conclusion, though this ancient space would remain open for a while longer. During this time, the great super sects would continue to observe, and those who performed exceptionally might still be recruited into their ranks. However, those taken in at this stage would only be given the status of registered disciples, a level below that of ordinary disciples. Even so, the title of registered disciple was something many would yearn for but never achieve, as the selection process of the great super sects was notoriously stringent. On the mountaintop, with the division of disciples now complete, the Hundred Dynasty War was officially over. Lin Dong stood at a vantage point, with a large group gathered behind him. The gazes they cast upon him were filled with awe and respect. From this moment on, they would all be disciples of the Dao Sect, but Lin Dong's status was undoubtedly higher than theirs. No matter which dynasty they hailed from, none could maintain any sense of superiority in front of him now. The Hundred Dynasty War has ended. You will now follow me to the Dao Sect. The news will soon reach your respective dynasties, and the sect's rewards will also be sent to your kingdoms shortly after, Wu Dao said with a smile, stroking his beard as he addressed the crowd before him. Wu Dao's words caused excitement to flicker in the eyes of many. They had come here representing their dynasties, and now they had finally achieved success. The thought of the joy their families would feel when they received this news filled their hearts with pride. In the Eastern Mystery region, dynasties rose and fell frequently. The strength of a dynasty was often judged by how many of its people had joined a great super sect. While these sects generally did not interfere in the wars between dynasties, the disciples who had joined them would not stand idly by if their home dynasty were in danger. If those disciples held ordinary positions in the sects, they might not have much influence. But if they were highly valued, the great super sects themselves would not turn a blind eye to their dynasty's plight. As a result, dynasties in the Eastern Mystery region would do everything in their power to send people into the great super sects, hoping for their protection and the long-term survival of their realms. Wu Dao's voice faded as he swiftly formed a series of hand seals. A vast array of primordial energy gathered before him, coalescing into a massive formation that glowed with radiant light. These great super sects had established spatial imprints within this ancient battlefield, allowing them to open portals and transport people directly to their sects. Lin Dong gazed at the formation as it took shape and couldn't help but let out a deep breath. Finally, it was time to leave this place. Let's go. After a brief moment of reflection, Lin Dong no longer hesitated. He was the first to step into the formation, with Little Mink, Little Flame, and the others following closely behind. As the last person entered the formation, a brilliant light began to swirl around them. Lin Dong lifted his gaze for one final glance at this space, and in his eyes, a flicker of anticipation emerged. The Eastern Mystery region, the great super sects, and Qingzhu. I, Lin Dong, am coming. The dazzling light intensified until it reached its peak and then suddenly vanished, taking with it the throng of people gathered on the mountaintop. A year of arduous cultivation and the Hundred Dynasty War had finally come to an end. Great Yan Dynasty, imperial capital. Inside a quiet and regal study, the air was filled with the fragrance of sandalwood, creating a calming atmosphere. A burly figure was seated at a desk, quietly reviewing the many documents in front of him. There was an unmistakable aura of strength emanating from him. This man was MultiSubs, the imperial tiger of the royal family and the ruler of the Great Yan Dynasty. In the year since his last appearance, his presence had grown even more formidable. Bang! The silence of the study was suddenly shattered by the abrupt sound of the door being thrown open. MultiSubs' expression immediately darkened as he looked up, ready to reprimand the intruder, when a sharp voice reached his ears. Your Majesty, the Hundred Dynasty War has ended. Sure. The anger on MultiSubs' face vanished in an instant, replaced by an uncharacteristic urgency. He stood up abruptly, and his voice trembled slightly with anticipation, something rarely seen from him. How did Ling fare? Your Majesty, the third prince has been accepted into the Dao Sect, one of the 8 great super sects, the messenger replied, his face beaming with joy as he trembled with excitement. The Dao Sect? Even MultiSubs, with all his self-control, couldn't help but gasp in astonishment. Among the numerous great super sects in the Eastern Mystery region, the 8 great super sects were the most powerful. He had only hoped that Mo Ling might be admitted to any sect, but to be chosen by one of the 8 great super sects, and the Dao Sect, no less, was beyond his wildest expectations. That was one of the most powerful forces in the entire Eastern Mystery region. How is this possible? Mo Jingtian stood in stunned silence, trying to process the shock of the news. He knew all too well how brutal the 100 Dynasty War was. No one from the Great Yan Dynasty had ever made it this far since its founding. Your Majesty, not only has the third prince been accepted into the Dao Sect, but Du Yun and Man Shan have also joined. Another wave of shocking news hit, and Mo Jingtian fell back into his chair in disbelief. 3 people from the Great Yan Dynasty had been accepted into the Dao Sect at once? Is this really happening? Mo Jingtian muttered to himself as waves of incredulity washed over him. He absent-mindedly picked up a smooth jade stone from the desk and began to turn it in his hand, lost in thought. It's all because of Lin Dong. The messenger, still ecstatic, continued. It was clear that such earth-shattering news was something he had never encountered in his life. Lin Dong? You mean the Lin Clan's Lin Dong? Mo Jingtian asked, startled. He won the 100 Dynasty War. The Dao Sect holds him in such high regard that they accepted the third prince and the others because of him. Crash. The priceless jade stone in Mo Jingtian's hand shattered into dust, but he paid it no mind. His wide eyes were fixed on the messenger as his mind echoed with the same 2 words over and over. 100 Dynasty War, champion? His hand trembled as he tugged at his collar, his pupils contracting rapidly. He knew very well what that title signified. It meant that Lin Dong was the finest among all the young elites from the dynasties of the Eastern Mystery region. In the past, only youths from the most powerful dynasties ever held that title. For a dynasty as small as the Great Yan Dynasty, their participants were typically mere cannon fodder in the war. Surviving was already a challenge, but to surpass everyone and claim the championship? That was nothing short of impossible. And yet now, a youth from the Great Yan Dynasty had risen to the top in the 100 Dynasty War, standing above all others. The sheer magnitude of this realization left Mo Jingtian breathless. Are you sure? Mo Jingtian rasped, his voice hoarse. Your Majesty, this is a soul transmission from the Dao Sect itself. The messenger replied hurriedly, producing a golden orb of light. Within the orb, there was a sheet of gold-etched paper. Mo Jingtian swiftly took the glowing orb, and the pressure emanating from it caused the primordial energy within his body to momentarily freeze. He immediately realized that the message was indeed true. That boy, Mo Jingtian muttered, his mind flashing back to a year ago, recalling the lean, young figure of Lin Dong. At that time, no one could have imagined that he would reach such heights. Letting Mo Ling and the others follow Lin Dong had indeed been a wise decision. The Lin Clan has produced a terrifying talent. Mo Jingtian sighed deeply, his tone carrying an undeniable sense of admiration. Your Majesty, recently there's been increasing friction between the Lin Clan and the Wang Clan, the messenger reported softly. Send someone to the Wang Clan. From now on, the 4 great clans will be led by the Lin Clan. If they fail to recognize this, Mo Jingtian's eyes narrowed, and a subtle killing intent began to permeate the air. Yes, Your Majesty. The messenger's heart trembled. It seemed the Wang clan was doomed to face misfortune. From now on, who in the Great Yan Dynasty would dare provoke the Lin Clan? Your Majesty, this soul transmission was also sent to the Lin Clan and other major powers within the dynasty, the messenger added. Mo Jingtian nodded slowly. He knew that from now on, the Lin Clan would rise to become the most influential family within the dynasty. Even the royal family would no longer dare to exert any control over them, because the Lin Clan had Lin Dong, Great Yan County, Lin City. As the home of the Lin Clan, Lin City was never short of bustling activity. Its scale was among the largest in the dynasty, imposing and grand from afar. At this moment, in the central area of Lin City, within the Lin Clan's ancestral estate, the clan's assembly hall, rarely opened except for major events, was filled with a crowd of people. The air was thick with noise, the sound of voices blending together into a hum that felt like being in a hive of bees. At the center of the hall, all the elders of the Lin clan were present without exception. Their eyes were collectively fixed on the head of the hall, where a figure sat. The man, whose face was usually stern and commanding, now seemed lost and dazed. Clan leader Lin Mu, the eldest elder of the clan, coughed softly. Half an hour earlier, Lin Fan, the clan leader, had issued the highest-level order, summoning all the elders back to the main estate. Such an order had only been given twice in the past, both times during moments of life and death for the Lin clan. Could it be that something major had happened this time? At the thought of this, the expressions of the elders subtly changed. Had some great calamity occurred? Lin Mu's cough snapped Lin Fan out of his stupor. He slowly scanned the assembly hall, and the chatter immediately died down. Then, out of nowhere, Lin Fan began to laugh. It started as a low chuckle, but soon grew louder and louder, until tears streamed down his face. The elders and high-ranking members of the clan were stunned, their faces pale with fear. What had happened to drive the clan leader to such a state? Standing in a corner, Lin Ku'er, dressed in a white gown, gripped her father's arm tightly, her delicate face turning white as she watched Lin Fan's strange behavior. Clan leader, has the Wang clan devised some plot against us? Rest assured, no matter what they attempt, our Lin clan will not allow ourselves to be bullied. Lin Mu said in a grave tone. If the Wang clan dares to start a war, our Lin clan will fight them to the death. Another elder shouted, his voice filled with resolve. Exactly. The hall erupted with fervor, the atmosphere becoming heated with determination. Lin Fan's laughter slowly subsided. He wiped his face and waved his hand, his voice hoarse as he said, "You all are overthinking this. From now on, the Wang clan will no longer dare show the slightest disrespect toward our Lin clan." Huh. The elders, who had been gearing up for a fight, were left dumbfounded, looking at Lin Fan in confusion. The 100 Dynasty War has ended, Lin Fan said quietly. The 100 Dynasty War? The elders paused before realization dawned on them. A wave of joy washed over their faces. Could it be someone from our Lin clan has been chosen by a great super sect? Lin Fan nodded slowly. Boom. The entire hall exploded with excitement. Shouts of joy reverberated, shaking every corner of the room. It must be Lin Langtian. He's the only one from our Lin clan capable of achieving such a feat. That's not necessarily true. Lin Dong isn't weak either. He even gave Lin Langtian trouble before. I'd still bet on Lin Langtian. We've all seen his talent with our own eyes. Yes, no doubt about it. Lin Langtian is the most outstanding genius of the Lin clan. That Yin City brat was just lucky. If this news gets out, the Yin City branch won't have anything to boast about anymore. In a corner of the hall, Lin Ku'er bit her lip as she listened to the commotion. A soft sigh escaped her heart. So, in the end, had Lin Dong lost to Lin Langtian after all? He has joined the Dao Sect, one of the 8 great super sects of the Eastern Mystery region, Lin Fan murmured, his words immediately silencing the entire hall. The Dao Sect, one of the 8 great super sects? Every elder's eyes widened in disbelief. Such a lofty existence was almost unimaginable for them. In the 100 Dynasty War, he surpassed the geniuses of the super dynasties and claimed the championship. Silence descended upon the hall once more. Everyone felt as though the air had been sucked out of the room. He had won the 100 Dynasty War? Such an honor had never been achieved in the history of the Great Yan Dynasty. And now, someone from their Lin clan had done it? Lin Fan lifted his head, and his eyes were tinged with red. He stared at the assembly, his voice trembling slightly as he continued, "He is Lin Dong." Crack. Numerous chairs shattered at once, and several figures collapsed to the ground in shock. But no one paid any attention to the wreckage. Instead, all eyes were fixed on Lin Fan, filled with disbelief. The person chosen by the Dao Sect, the one who had outshone the geniuses of the super dynasties and emerged as the ultimate victor, was Lin Dong. Lin Dong, from the Yin City branch? Lin Ku'er covered her mouth with her hand, her mind reeling from the shock. The revelation hit her so hard that she felt dizzy. She had never imagined that the one to create such a miracle would be Lin Dong. Lin Ke felt dazed as she recalled that moment outside the ancient tomb in Yin City years ago, where Lin Longtian's oppressive aura bore down on them. Even though Lin Dong had been covered in blood, he had stubbornly pressed forward, step by step, in defiance. In just a few short years, that wounded young wolf had undergone a true transformation, soaring like an eagle through the skies. Clan leader, is this real? Lin Mu managed to speak, though his voice was dry and hoarse. He had always valued Lin Dong, but even he had never imagined that the young man could achieve such heights in the 100 Dynasty War, where geniuses from all over gathered. Lin Fan slowly nodded. Then, pressing his hands on the table, he stood up, surveying the room. His deep voice carried an undeniable authority. Immediately informed the Yin City branch. Lin Jintian is to be promoted to the rank of Grand Elder, and Lin Xiao, Lin Qin, and Lin Mang are all to be invited to the Elders' Council. From this moment on, anyone who dares to speak ill of the Yin City branch. Lin Fan paused, and a murderous glint filled his eyes. Will be stripped of their clan status, no matter who they are. The assembly hall fell into complete silence. All the elders, even those who had once harbored ill feelings toward the Yin City branch, kept their mouths shut. They all understood that from now on, the Yin City branch would be the most untouchable faction within the Lin Clan, perhaps even in the entire Great Yan Dynasty, because the Yin City branch had produced Lin Dong. The news that the Yin City branch of the Lin Clan had produced the champion of the 100 Dynasty War spread like wildfire throughout the Great Yan Dynasty. It shook every corner of the realm. Anyone with even a little knowledge of the 100 Dynasty War was utterly shocked by the news. It far exceeded their wildest imaginations. They could hardly believe that someone from not only a lower-tier dynasty, but also from a mere branch family could achieve something that even geniuses from the super dynasties had failed to do. Yet, faced with the truth, all they could do was shake their heads in disbelief and mutter in admiration and envy. That freak of a kid. Yin City. This city had become the most sought-after place in the Great Yan Dynasty. The Lin Clan's gates had been swarmed for days, surrounded by all sorts of factions who had never had any ties with the clan, but now came to offer their congratulations. The endless stream of visitors left the Lin Clan members both exhausted and overwhelmed. In the back mountains of the Lin Clan, Lin Xiao crouched in a bamboo grove in front of a small cottage. There were many wooden stakes around, the same ones Lin Dong had once used for training. Lin Xiao ran his rough hand over the cracked stakes, almost as if he could still see the small, skinny figure who had once sweated and toiled there. You've been sitting here all day. Aren't you tired? Footsteps approached from behind, and a coat was gently draped over his shoulders. How's father doing? Lin Xiao turned to see Lu Yin and smiled. Since the news broke, he hasn't stopped smiling, Lu Yin replied with a grin. Our son's done well, much better than his old man. Lin Xiao sighed, though his face couldn't hide his pride and satisfaction. He must have endured a lot of hardship in the 100 Dynasty War, Lu Yin said with concern. Unlike the others, who only saw Lin Dong's success as a mother, she knew how stubborn he was. In a place like that, she could only imagine the difficulties he had faced. He's a man. Carrying burdens is part of growing up. With his potential, a small place like the Great Yan Dynasty could never hold him back. Having such a son makes me proud as a father, ha ha ha. Lin Xiao laughed heartily. It's your stubbornness that made him this way. Not only Donger, but even Qingtan is the same. A young girl should be staying at home, yet she dares to run off like that. Lu Yan's eyes reddened as she scolded. If something happens to her, how will you ever be at peace? Hee, that girl couldn't bear to leave Donger. There was nothing we could do. Besides, the elder who's accompanying her is incredibly powerful. I'm sure they have an extraordinary background. With her protection, Qingtan will be safe. Lin Xiao chuckled. And when she comes back, if she dares talk back to you again, her brother won't let her off the hook, ha ha ha. Lu Yin sighed again, knowing that there was no use in dwelling on it now. She just couldn't shake the frustration of Qingtan, who had always been obedient, defying her over this matter. Don't worry anymore. Every generation has its own fortune, Lin Xiao said, pulling Lu Yin into his arms. He looked up at the distant sky and murmured, Donger, go ahead and chase your dreams. That's what a man should do. But no matter how famous you become outside, if you ever grow tired, come home. Your father may not have achieved what you have, but I'll make sure no one dares wrong you under my watch. The Eastern Mystery Region was an endless land filled with countless legends. From the ancient era to the present, it had produced one earth-shattering expert after another. Their power was so immense that it reverberated through the ages, and even after thousands of years, their awe-inspiring might still intimidated the world. It was a land that commanded respect and struck fear into the hearts of many. On this vast land, dynasties were as numerous as the stars. Every day, new dynasties rose while others crumbled. Endless competition enveloped this land, where only the strongest survived. Above the countless dynasties like stars in the sky, the true rulers of this land are the colossal entities known as the Great Super Sects. They stand far above all dynasties, possessing legacies that trace back to ancient times. Among these great super sects, the most powerful are known as the 8 great super sects: the Yuan Sect, Nine Heavens Taiching Palace, Dao Sect, Myriad Puppet Sect, Talisman Valley, Sword Sect, Ancient Wilderness Hall, and the Divine Sect. These 8 great super sects are the undisputed rulers of this land, each capable of annihilating any dynasty with a mere thought. However, even in this land rife with conflict, the great super sects are not completely detached. The 8 great super sects often clash with each other, and many other powerful sects covet their positions. Although the 8 great super sects are the strongest in the Eastern Mystery Region, there are other formidable sects whose power, while not on the same level, cannot be dismissed. In this world, everyone strives to ascend to higher realms of power. But for now, the Eastern Mystery Region remains under the dominance of the 8 great super sects, though beneath this seeming calm, there are countless hidden undercurrents. The 8 great super sects stand at 8 distinct points across the region, like colossal guardians overseeing the land. In the southwestern part of the Eastern Mystery Region, there lies a vast mountain range spanning hundreds of thousands of miles. This range, shrouded in clouds and mist year-round, is known for its mystical nature. This massive mountain range is called Dao Domain, and within it lies one of the 8 great super sects, the Dao Sect. Surrounding the Dao Domain are hundreds of dynasties, all of which revere the Dao Sect and consider the Dao Domain their holy land. These dynasties exist solely because of their dependence on the Dao Sect. Deep within the endless expanse of the Dao Domain, the clouds part in sharp contrast, revealing towering peaks that rise thousands of feet high. These giant mountains cluster together, and on their peaks, one can glimpse grand, ancient buildings stretching endlessly into the distance. Beneath these towering mountains, cities emerge from the mist, filled with throngs of people. From afar, it resembles an entire kingdom. At the deepest part of the mountain range, a massive light shield, spanning tens of thousands of feet, arcs over the sky like an overturned bowl, covering everything beneath it in a protective glow, seemingly enveloping even the passing of day and night. Within this light shield stand numerous ancient halls, filled with an air of timelessness. Above the sky, countless figures soar through the air like the wind. From the sky, the view of countless ant-like figures scurrying below fills the entire scene with an overwhelming sense of ancient grandeur. Buzz. At this moment, in the sky just outside the light shield, space suddenly began to distort. Large amounts of light condensed, eventually forming a massive array. From within the array, hundreds of figures flickered into view. As they gazed downward, their faces filled with shock and awe. Hiss! At the front of the group, Lin Dong was similarly stunned by the scene before him. He took a deep breath, his eyes fixed on the light shield that seemed to cover the heavens. As he looked at the towering mountains and the ancient aura that pervaded the area, it felt as though he had stepped into an ancient era. Though the ruins of ancient sects he had seen before were impressive, those were just remnants of the past. What stood before him now was a living, breathing great super sect, an unparalleled giant in the world. "Welcome to the Dao Sect," Wu Dao said with a smile, his eyes filled with pride as he watched the awestruck group before him. So, this is the Dao Sect. Lin Dong couldn't help but lick his lips. When he had seen the ruins of ancient sects, he had envied those disciples who once trained there. But now, he realized he would have the chance to experience it all for himself. Come, follow me into the Dao Sect. You are not yet considered full disciples, so don't wander around carelessly, Wu Dao said, waving his sleeve. A golden light shot from his sleeve and disappeared into the massive light shield before them. Buzz, buzz. Ripples spread across the light shield, and the faint energy fluctuations that radiated from it made Lin Dong's scalp tingle. He could hardly imagine what kind of terrifying power had been used to construct such a formidable barrier. There's a hidden array within that light shield, most likely the Dao Sect's protective array, Little Mink said, his expression serious as he gazed at the shield. Its power is terrifying. If activated, even a Nirvana stage expert would be destroyed in an instant, leaving not even a trace behind. No amount of life force could save them. Even Little Mink felt a deep sense of danger from the light shield. Lin Dong nodded, unsurprised by the immense power of the protective array. It would indeed be strange if the Dao Sect's protective formation didn't possess such might. As the light shield rippled and slowly opened to form a door-like passage, Wu Dao waved his hand, and the formation carrying Lin Dong and the others followed him through the portal, entering the Dao Sect. Boom! The moment they passed through the portal, Lin Dong and the others were hit by an overwhelming surge of primordial energy, so dense it felt almost tangible. The force of the energy caused some of them to stumble, and those who were weaker were even blown back by the sudden gust of energy. What an immense amount of primordial energy! Lin Dong was instantly astonished as he sensed the density of the energy in the atmosphere. The concentration of energy inside the light shield was likely 10 times that of the outside world. It was evident that the Dao Sect had used some great technique to continuously absorb the primordial energy from an area spanning hundreds of thousands of miles, creating an ideal environment for their disciples to cultivate. Such a feat was truly terrifying. Whoosh! As Lin Dong and the others marveled at the overwhelming energy in the air, over a dozen streaks of light shot across the sky, quickly transforming into figures dressed in dark red robes. These individuals had come to investigate the newcomers, but upon seeing Wu Dao, their tense expressions relaxed. Greetings, Vice Hall Master Wu Dao. The dozen figures all bowed respectfully. These are the disciples selected from the 100 Dynasty War, Wu Dao explained with a casual smile. The dozen individuals nodded in realization, their sharp gazes sweeping over Lin Dong and the others. Their eyes were piercing, and under such scrutiny, many of the new disciples averted their gazes, intimidated by the powerful presence of the sect's patrol disciples. As expected of the Dao Sect, even these random patrol disciples are so formidable, Lin Dong thought to himself, slightly on edge. He could sense that each of the dozen patrol disciples was at least at the 5th Nirvana stage, and their combat strength was clearly superior to the average 5th Nirvana stage cultivator. Their overwhelming presence alone proved that much. However, while these patrol disciples were intimidating, Lin Dong didn't feel any significant pressure. Given his current strength, he could easily contend with 6th Nirvana stage experts. In terms of combat techniques, he wasn't particularly afraid of these disciples. After scanning the newcomers, the patrol disciples' gazes lingered on a few individuals, including Lin Dong. It was clear that they had also recognized some extraordinary talents among the group, and they nodded approvingly. It seemed that the 100 Dynasty War had indeed produced some exceptional disciples this time. Vice Hall Master Wu Dao, please bring these disciples to the selection platform. The Vice Hall Masters of the other 3 halls are already waiting, one of the patrol disciples said respectfully. Hearing this, Wu Dao's brow furrowed slightly, and he snorted. Those guys are already impatient to steal some disciples, aren't they? The patrol disciples shifted awkwardly, but wisely chose not to comment. All right, I know. Wu Dao waved his hand irritably, dismissing the patrol disciples before leading the group toward a towering mountain shrouded in mist in the distance, his expression dark. Lin Dong noticed Wu Dao's mood had soured and was confused as to why he had suddenly become upset. The Dao Sect has 4 major halls for training disciples, named after heaven, earth, Wild, and Grand Wilderness. From what I know, the Heaven Hall is currently the strongest, followed by the Earth Hall, while the Wild Hall ranks the lowest. Wu Dao is the Vice Hall Master of the Wild Hall. Little Mink's voice whispered in Lin Dong's ear, clarifying the situation. And every time new disciples enter the Dao Sect, they choose one of the 4 halls. However, since the Wild Hall is considered the weakest, most of the highly talented disciples are snatched up by the Heaven Hall and Earth Hall first. I see. So which hall should I join? Lin Dong asked in a low voice, now understanding Wu Dao's frustration. Little Mink pondered for a moment before answering, Wild Hall?